Hello, this is Ian Henry. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first edition of the SMMT's production outlook for 2014. Let's start with a look at what happened last year, 2013. Well, our provisional total for European production, including Russia for last year, is just over 19 million, which would represent a 4.5% rise over 2012. If we take Russia out of the equation, European production is actually estimated at approximately 17.8 million, a rise of 5.1%. European production rose during the last year following strong UK demand, the beginning of the recovery in other markets, continued premium brand exports beyond Europe, and the start of production of several new models, with the vehicle manufacturers beginning to fill their sales pipelines. We also saw continued restructuring with two plant closures, Ford Southampton and PSA at Aulnay in Paris. Ford's Genk plant will close this year and Opel's Bochum plant will close soon after. We've seen a rebalancing of capacity at PSA with cutbacks of Ren and Sochaux's factories, and several Fiat plants have been on temporary shutdown or significantly reduced output for much of last year. By contrast, we saw production rising strongly at a number of recently opened or expanded plants, notably Audi and Mercedes in Hungary and the Renault Dacia factory in Morocco, which is very much a core part of Renault's European network. If we look at the situation in the UK for last year and this year, we see a largely positive story, with strong retail demand and consumer confidence remaining high despite the general economic uncertainty across Europe. The UK saw approximately 1.57 million cars and LCVs produced last year, representing a small rise, just 1.2% over 2012. Production actually fell at several manufacturers, including Mini, ahead of the switch over to the new model. We saw production also fall marginally at Honda, GM and Nissan as well, Nissan falling ahead of the new Qashqai coming on stream. By contrast to the strong growth at Toyota, where production was nearly 180,000 versus 109,000 the year before, and at Jaguar Land Rover, where production reached 429,000 versus 367,000 in 2012. Bad news though, the Ford Southampton plant closed, bringing to an end Ford-branded production in the UK. For this year, we're projecting UK production at around 1.65 million, with the rise accounted for by full-year production of the new Mini and the launch of the new Nissan Qashqai. In terms of our expectations for Europe as a whole for 2014, we expect to see the recovery spread across Europe throughout the year, and pent-up demand should certainly boost production, particularly of several new model launches. We expect the medium-term production outlook across Europe to be broadly positive. Including Russia, we expect European production to be approximately 20 million units, with strong growth in the years ahead. Without Russia, we expect European production to be around 18.5 million, this with the growth from last year being mainly in Germany, Hungary, Spain, Turkey and the UK. We expect further restructuring and realignment amongst the vehicle manufacturers during the course of this year, and we've already seen Fiat taking full control of Chrysler at the start of 2014. Another significant move has involved investment in PSA by the French government and the Chinese vehicle manufacturer Dongfeng. Full details of this will be confirmed shortly. Beyond 2014, we expect production, including Russia, to reach around 23 million by 2016 and getting close to 24 million by 2018. If we take Russia out of the equation, core European production should be around 19.4 million in 2015, 20.4 million in 2016 and over 21 million in both 2017 and 2018. Germany will remain the powerhouse of European production, with over 6 million units a year produced from 2015 onwards. And it's also important to note the importance of Spain and the role of the vehicle manufacturers' core factories in that country. With recent investment commitments made in Spain, we now believe that Spain is likely to be the second-ranked European country in terms of production over the medium term, with Spanish production actually likely now to exceed 2.5 million from 2016 on a consistent basis. This chart shows production across Europe, with all countries, including Russia being the pink bar in the middle of the chart roughly, the UK at the top and Austria at the bottom of the chart. The importance of Germany is quite clear from the dark orange bar towards the bottom of the charts. This chart shows production in Europe excluding Russia. The volume as a whole is obviously lower. One of the most important things to note here is that we now expect Europe to have recovered to the 2007 level, i.e. before the last recession, in about 2016. In fact, in 2016 it should just about exceed the original 2007 peak. This chart shows the relative position of the major producing countries. It clearly shows how important Germany is compared to the other markets, with German production fluctuating around 6 million units a year throughout the majority of the period that this chart shows. And then below that we see the bunching together of the other country markets, with Russia, Spain, the UK and France all between 2 and 3 million, and a number of other markets fluctuating around the 1 million mark level. Details of the individual countries' production volumes are of course to be found in the main SMMT Production Outlook report. As we said, the UK and France should actually battle for third place behind Germany and Spain, and we think this will be quite a close-run thing in the years ahead. The actual positions of the two countries relative to one another will be determined by the new model timers from JLR in particular, and the degree to which Renault and PSA plants can actually meet the production targets which have been set in these companies' labour agreements. We actually think the UK should exceed France in terms of car production this year for the first time in a long time. This is really because French car production per se is falling, although LCV production in France is actually rising. The rise of Turkey to around 1.5 million units a year in the long run reflects future expansion at Tofaş, the Fiat partner in the country, and the concentration of Ford van production in Turkey. Czech Republic production will be around 1.2 million, a little bit over that, throughout the period covered here, and production in Slovakia, Italy and Poland will remain between 750 and 950,000 units per country throughout the period. Thank you for tuning in and listening to and watching this latest production outlook video from the SMMT. Details are now shown on the screen as to how you can download the full report. Thank you and goodbye.